Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Mic Drop Monday, live from FMH Studios. My name is Diego Martinez Reyes, and alongside, I've got two of the most amazing people when it comes to talking about music. I've got Isabelle and I've got Jenna. How are you guys doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm all good. Can't complain. I mean, it's pretty busy when it comes to the music lately, especially with all the news going around.
So true.
You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so nothing like a mic drop Monday, especially when the Grammy nominations were just announced last Friday, November 7th, and I definitely have some thoughts about it. What about you as well?
Yeah, I have a lot of different thoughts. Sabrina Carpenter being everywhere.
It's crazy.
Taylor Swift being nowhere, which I have a lot of thoughts about that, specifically coming from a ex kind of Swiftie-ish.
You're an ex-Swiftie now?
I mean, sort of. It's difficult. I have a love-hate relationship with her as of right now.
I kind of agree, and I think with the Grammys coming up and all of the talk about Taylor in Grammys past, they definitely took that into consideration with the nominees this year, and she definitely took it into consideration on the date that she released her most recent album.
Yeah, and I mean, with that recent album, it was definitely filled with mixed reviews. Me, unfortunately, being somebody who had a negative reaction to the album, but we'll definitely be talking a little bit about that later on. But let's go category by category and argue who actually deserves these and what we think about it. Firstly, Record of the Year. The nominees are the Debí Tirar Más Fotos. They're from Bad Bunny, Man Child by Sabrina Carpenter, Anxiety by Doechii, Wildflower by Billie Eilish, Abracadabra by Lady Gaga, Luther by Kendrick and SZA, The Subway by Chappell Roan, and Apartments by Rosé and Bruno Mars.
Well, first of all, your pronunciation of Bad Bunny's album was something I could never do. So
Perfect,
thank you for doing that. But I guess I have a question when you were reading the titles of the Record of the Year. I've kind of wondered, what makes a record the Record of the Year, and how does someone win that? Is it the number of streams that the song gets, or the vocals, or is it just how people's reactions to the vibe of the song? What does a Record of the Year winner differ from Song of the Year, and what makes that stand out?
I think for me, the streams are really important in gauging how successful an album is, especially commercially. However, I think looking at how the record's actually constructed, whether it be its production, its songwriting, its transition between tracks, its overall story, if there is a story, or whether it's more like a composite mixtape. I think all of those things kind of come into account because, I mean, you look at the list. Debí Tirar Más Fotos is a love letter to Puerto Rico, and something like Abracadabra speaks a completely different message. So, I mean, the question is, how do you rate those different albums, and what are the commonalities between them?
I feel like that's also a good question because I've never even really thought about it like that. What goes into the difference between Record of the Year in regards to Song of the Year or Album of the Year. But I think that a large part of it is mainstream and commercially what does the best, I would say, because I feel like a lot of these, all of these songs have been played a lot on the radio, on TikTok, et cetera, et cetera. I feel like that's kind of what it is.
I agree. Yeah, I think kind of leaning into what Diego mentioned, I think the overall production is very important to consider when you're talking about the record and how everything went into it, not just the singer vocally, but also the musicality and the production. But with that being said, Isabelle kind of touched on the Album of the Year. So we should talk about who's nominated for that as well. So now I'm going to butcher this pronunciation, but Debí Tirar Más Fotos by Bad Bunny.
That's not bad. I'll take that.
I appreciate that.
For those who aren't seeing us in the studio, we just did an epic fist bump.
Yeah, I haven't done a fist bump in a while, so that was pretty exhilarating. To continue, Swag by Justin Bieber, Man's Best Friend, Sabrina Carpenter, Let God Sort 'Em Out by Clips, Pusha T and Malice, Mayhem by Lady Gaga, GNX, Kendrick Lamar, Mutt by Leon Thomas, and Chroma Pokia by Tyler, the Creator. And also How do you actually pronounce that?
Chromacopia.
Okay, thanks guys.
You're welcome. So that's also like an extensive list which features a lot of artists that we typically see on this stage. For example, I mean GNX, Kendrick Lamar being a name that has really been in music culture as of late.
Yeah.
And has of ever. But like asking the question of the artists themselves, who actually needs this win the most per se?
Okay, I feel like who needs the win the most? I feel like Bad Bunny. I feel like his album was very like significant for the times and just like culturally significant. I'm a little biased though because I saw Kendrick Lamar on the GNX tour and it literally changed my life. So like personally, I'm like, I feel like Kendrick Lamar should win, but I know that like Bad Bunny's album was so good and it like meant so much to so many people that I feel like he should win.
I think on a cultural level, you see the context of Bad Bunny being the performer selected for, or being the performer at least for the Super Bowl coming up in a couple of months. Oh, February's coming in a couple of months. Oh, I don't like that. But that kind of backlash that happened whenever he was announced and everything from that sphere, I think it's especially important for him to get a win in at least the American market. There's obviously a lot of contentions and a lot of things against the Grammys and how they're selected and whatnot, but it is a cultural marker of a really impressive album. And seeing Bad Bunny's, like I mentioned earlier in the episode, his dedication and his love letter to Puerto Rico really get that win. It's so important to, you know, what he represents and what he stands for, and it's just a confirmation that is being heard.
Totally. I completely agree, and especially with everything that he was doing with that tour, solely being in Puerto Rico out of fear of ICE raiding his concerts. I think culturally this is would be a huge win for him and to sort of spread his message. But I guess on a more lighter note, I thought how it was very interesting that Justin Bieber and Gaga have been making a comeback to the Academy and them nominating these albums for the first time in so long. I thought was very, very interesting and kind of cool in a way, but also made me wonder, did artists that were more timely deserve this more? I don't know exactly if what's going to happen with the final nominees and who out of the Academy voted for what, but I definitely think our group Mic Drop Monday unanimous vote would be for Bad Bunny.
Agreed. I very much agree. So lastly, we're going to be talking about the nominees for Best New Artist. So we have Olivia Dean, Cat's Eye, The Marias, Addison Rae, Somber, Leon Thomas, Alex Warren, and Lola Young. So is it even about being new, or is it just about who we think is new? Because I feel like a lot of these artists have been in the industry for quite some time. It's just so happens that now they're being recognized.
I mean, yeah, 100%. I think I was kind of pausing a little bit just to kind of think of like how I wanted to attack this, because I mean, seeing those names, you said it perfectly. They're all very established. They're all very talented in their own right. And I think the name that I kind of want to approach a little more is Olivia Dean.
Oh,
not only does
so
she
good.
have such a lovely voice, but her production, specifically in her song Baby Steps. Oh, what a song. Legitimately. Like every time I go to work, I just like play that song and it's like reminds myself just, you know, bit by bit, I got this. But it's kind of like when you see a name like Olivia Dean for new artist, it kind of surprises me. I think like she's somebody that like has been killing it for years on years on years. And she's kind of like a name I would be less surprised seeing on the best artist and not best new artist. And so, you know, I find that quite interesting. Somber is a name that kind of doesn't surprise me in this list, as Somber's put out some great music that has really like elevated his I would say status this summer. But I mean, again, I feel like the Grammys did a really good job this year.
I agree. I think though it is worth mentioning that someone like Olivia Dean, like you mentioned, who has been established in the industry for a bit longer, it's interesting that she's being paired in this category with TikTok artists, like TikTok artists turned artists like Addison Rae and Alex Warren. So I don't know. I think that duality of this nominee category is quite interesting because the kind of quick fame of who's trending on TikTok can really clearly bring you longer than anticipated. Like I never would have thought 5 years ago that Addison Rae would be a Grammy nominee, but that is just me personally. But
I completely agree with that. Also, like 2 Hype House members being here. Sorry.
Who's the other one?
Alex Warren?
Yeah, but other than him.
Addison Rae.
Oh, she was totally in the Hype House. Yeah. But I think this is definitely a whole topic that on Mic Drop Monday we will circle back to in February in a short few months. And do you guys have any last mentions or thoughts on the Grammy nominees before we close out?
I don't think I do. I think I spoke my piece.
What about you, Diego?
Bad Bunny with his shift. I'm just really happy that, he was able to do that successfully. But Mic Drop Monday. Always love to see.
It always hits.
Always hits.
Always.
Well, a big thank you to Fordham Live for another successful Monday evening, and we will see you next week.